Good morning, aspirants. It's 11th of November today, and I welcome you all on today's edition of What to Read in the Hindu newspaper. I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗹𝘆 𝗡𝗵, Senior Mentor at Prepp IAS. While going through the articles, we will not only see its relevance with regard to our prelims and mains, but we'll also try and interlink it with other GS papers as well. I am here to align your newspaper reading as a part of our GS syllabus. So let's get started. The very first article that is worth to read in today's paper is about India and China have goodwill towards us, says Sri Lankan PM. Now, when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under GS paper 2 under the theme IR, India and its neighborhood. The key theme that can be linked while going through this particular article is about Sri Lanka's post-crisis recovery phase that is going on, the political reforms that is going on, and lessons for South Asia's governance model, what other countries can learn from them. For prelims perspective, we need to know the location-based mapping perspective, Sri Lanka's geography and trade routes, the conflicts that we have with Sri Lanka and Indian Tamil Nadu fishermen issues, then institutions wherein we are cooperating and collaborating such as SAARC, BIMSTEC and its relevance. For governance structure, there has always been asked one comparative political analogy-based questions. So in case of Sri Lanka and India, what we can compare and expect a question in our mains could be around presidential versus parliamentary system India in Sri Lanka and India. So this is how this can be linked. For mains perspective, the arenas that we have to unfold while going through this particular article is about India-Sri Lanka relations, debt trap concerns, and China factor. For GS paper 2, democratic reforms and economic sustainability in South Asia. And when it comes to ethics part, leadership and crisis management that India has always shown towards all its neighborhood, that could be quoted. So this is how this particular article is to be seen holistically, unfurling every angle that is possible. The next important article that is there in the paper and which is on editorials page, that talks about what South Asia wants from COP30. Now, when we map this particular article, this will fall under GS paper 3, environment and climate change. The key theme that has been discussed over here is about equity, climate finance, and adaptation for developing nations before COP30. You got to tell me where will the COP30 would be hosted, which country will host it. For prelims perspective, we need to know the COP30 host and its goals. The key term, knowing about the key terms such as NDCs, what is it? Do all countries mandatorily commit such sort of commitments? What is lost and damage fund? What is global stock take? For mains perspective, we need to know about GS as a part of our GS paper 3, wherein climate negotiations and India's stance. For GS2, regional cooperation in South Asia for climate resilience. And also this could be one of the potential essay perspective that one can write while going through any climate angle. South Asia's development in climate are dependent. As we have seen, many island nations which are on verge of extinction because of the impact of rising climate change impact that we are seeing nowadays. So this is how this particular article is to be seen. Also, when it comes to factual data that we got to revise when we write certain things, we can revise the reports of IPCC 6.1 that talks about climate justice is an integral to sustainable development. So the developments with regard to it can be revised. The next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention is about celebrating a Sage King, a celebration of India-Bhutan ties. Relevant for GS paper 2, IR, India and its neighborhood relations. The key theme that can be analyzed while going through this particular article is about India-Bhutan diplomatic and cultural partnership anchored in trust and traditions. For prelims perspective, we need to know the geography of Bhutan, which all states shares a border with them. Do we have any conflict with them or not? What are the hydropower projects that we have together taken up? What are the bilateral projects such as 𝗏𝗏 project where it is being implemented, and what are the issues this particular project is facing right now? Then BBIN corridor. For mains perspective, we can revise what is neighborhood first policy of India. For GS paper 1, cultural diplomacy and shared Buddhist heritage that can be quoted. Also, mutual sensitivity and mutual security has always been the bedrock of India-Bhutan ties. So this is how this could be quoted. Another key term that we can associate with India-Bhutan ties could be spiritual diplomacy as well. So this particular term we can often use whenever we will be addressing questions related to India-Bhutan in our mains or essay or ethics ka paper. Right. So this is how this particular article is to be holistically read and revised. The next important article is about pay commission. So what is the role of pay commission? Relevant for, again, GS paper 2, governance and role of civil services in democracy. The key theme that has been discussed over here is about rationalizing pay, productivity and motivation of government employees. For prelims perspective, we need to know about Article 309 and 312. What was the difference between 7th and 8th pay commission structure? For mains perspective, from GS paper 2 point of view, bureaucratic reforms and fiscal discipline is the need of hour. For GS paper 3 part, public expenditure management, how it is being done. For ethics, pay reforms, link and public service motivation. So what, apart from the social work and social improvement and collaborating with regard to the national development, what drives a person to work in a sector? So that the pay is one such important motivating drive that is required. And hence the government is responsible to take care of the central services or civil services structure altogether. And what is the difference shift that we are overseeing from 7th to 8th pay commission? This is how this particular article is to be seen. They have got a comparison of public sector employment and expenditure and what is the criteria for the same. This is how it is to be revised. Next important article is why access to knowledge is crucial for innovation. Relevant for GS paper 3, science and tech, innovation and intellectual property. The key linkages and the key theme that one can analyze while going through this particular article is there is a direct link between open access and research collaboration and inclusive innovation as well. For prelims perspective, the arenas that we have to unfold is about knowing the terms such as open source, Creative Commons, what is TRIPS, what is WIPO, what are they meant for, what are their objectives, the factual information with regard to it. For mains, we need to analyze innovation ecosystem is the need for our, also knowledge economy, why there is push for knowledge economy, the percentage of India's GDP that is devoted for research ecosystem and comparing it with the other nations who are already way ahead than us, such as China, USA, Japan, South Korea, Singapore. This is how. For essay perspective, knowledge shared is growth multiplied. How? This particular process we got to analyze by linking several themes with regard to it. Afterwards, government angle, for example, digital public infrastructure for education and research, DPI that we have developed. And also we can link it with India's National Innovation Foundation and Digital Public Good Alliance. Then National Science Framework that we can revise, curriculum in higher education and school education in the form of NEP. Afterwards, startup hubs that we are seeing, growth fund that the government is trying to come up with and has launched previously. What could be the improvements that can be done in this particular regard? This is how this particular article is to be holistically revised. The next important article and the last important article for the day is about cornea transplant. Ministry simplifies rules to boost cornea transplant services. So this is relevant for GS paper 2 health, government policies and interventions. The key theme that has been discussed over here is about streamlining health regulations for organ donation and medical accessibility. For prelims perspective, we need to know about Transplantation of Human Organ and Tissue Act, quota 1994, knowing about that. Cornea donation and national program for control of blindness. For GS mains perspective, GS paper 2, a national health policy, the recent one, health policy reforms, ease of medical regulations. From ethics perspective, the same article is to be seen through the lens of organ donation as public altruism. For governance part, simplification of rules to improve outcomes. So this is how this particular article is to be read and revised. This is all from my end for today's Hindu newspaper. Till we meet for the next time, take care and goodbye.